What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good day, good night, whenever you're watching this. Before I get to some of the main subjects here that I'm about to talk about, as of the time I am making this video, it is September 11th, meaning 24 years ago today. One of the worst tragedies here in the United States happened. 2,996 lives were lost that day. A lot of them, most of them from the two twin towers, and then quite a few more in Washington, D.C. May we never forget that tragedy. May we never forget the amount of lives lost that day. My heart goes out to people that were affected by that situation that still deal with it today. It was a screwed up situation that day, and may God be with all those who were affected by that tragedy. That's for sure. With that being said, so you guys heard quite a few things going on lately. Like there was a stabbing on a bus or a train. Some people say it was a bus, some people say it was a train, so I don't know. But a Ukrainian woman that came to this country was stabbed by a repeat criminal that should have been locked up. And then I'm sure by now a lot of people are aware of the situation with Charlie Kirk. As of the time I'm making this video, he was shot and killed while speaking at a rally in Utah. And on top of all that too, there was also another school shooting that happened in Colorado. Now, I won't lie, I don't have all the info on the school shooting. That is something I've been looking into, and a lot of news stations have not been very specific on that situation. But what I do understand is there were a few people that were injured, and I believe they said the shooter was dead. And then another one news article that I read was basically two people were injured, and then the shooter was killed, if I can get my words right. And then another article said that there were 3 people that were injured. So I don't know what to believe, But that is a situation that I've heard about, and that is a situation that I've been trying to look into. Regardless, my heart goes out to everybody that was affected by that, and to anybody that did lose their life or may have, my heart goes out to family and friends of anybody who may have lost their life, But, there's just been so much that has been happening lately. First off, we're not even a full month into the school year with a lot of schools out there, unless if you live down south, and you're probably a month and a half. But and there's already mass shootings that have been happening. There's certain schools out there that had to shut down because you get groups of kids that think that it's funny to sit there and make threats towards the school, all because they think they're going to get a day off. And then boom, they end up getting arrested, and they end up facing consequences for their actions, as they should. I'm sorry, but if you have the nerve to go threaten a school like that, you deserve to face consequences. That's all there is to it. And to anybody out there that thinks they need to go and shoot up a school, I have no sympathy for people who think they need to do that. You know, if you have the nerve to sit there and go and kill kids or injure them, I don't care if it's one child or if it's like 30, 40, 50, you know, if you feel the need to go and hurt or kill kids because you are mentally screwed up in the head, I have no sympathy for you. And honestly, the only thing I could say is if you end up living, I hope that you suffer the consequences in prison for the rest of your life. And then I hope that you're guided to the hottest pit in hell when your time on earth is done. To any mass shooter out there that ends up losing their life after shooting up a school, then, like I said, I hope you're guided to the hottest pit in hell after your judgment. And I don't like to wish negativity like that, you know, because I am trying to work on a relationship with Jesus, you know, change my life around and get close with Jesus and all. But that's just how I feel about mass shooters, especially when it comes to them shooting up schools. Now, for the Charlie Kirk situation, you know, I understand a lot of people did not like Charlie Kirk for a lot of things, like his opinions and beliefs, and, you know, it just, whatever. That's fine. You know, when I go and say something on here, of course I expect people to not like what I have to say. Or, you know, just disagree with what I said and respond with their opinions. But the fact that you have people out there that think that they need to go to the extent of hurting or killing somebody just because they don't like the way somebody thinks, it just blows my frickin' mind. Regardless of what side of politics you're on, or what religion you are, what race, what job, what gender, what sexuality, like, that's not something I would ever wish to happen to anybody. I don't care if I make people mad when I say that, but that's just how I feel. And if you feel differently, you think somebody needs to be killed because they think a certain way, you are part of the problem then. You know, if we're talking pedophiles, okay, you know, like, yeah, those are the type of people that I think don't deserve to live. I agree with you 100% on that. Either that, or I think they should suffer the rest of their life in prison. That is for sure. But if you're talking about somebody that's just voicing their opinion on certain things out there, like politics or religion or anything like that, there shouldn't be any need for killing or hurting somebody. Because, I'm sorry, hurting or killing somebody over how they think, you're not proving anything other than the fact that you are mentally screwed up in the head. Charlie Kirk should have not have died the way he did. He should still be here. And to everybody out there who's sitting there making fun of Charlie Kirk, saying that he deserved to die, you guys are screwed up in the freaking head. That's for sure. You know, one thing that a lot of people are not realizing about the shooting is that there are lots and lots of people that had to witness that. I'm sure there were probably kids there too that were witnessing that and are probably traumatized now because of that situation. That's what people are not understanding. You know, I am so freaking disgusted with people right now, man. Words cannot describe how frustrated I am with a lot of people out there. You know, there's certain people out there that I truly cannot stand. And I think that, you know, they're complete, I hate to use this word, but idiots for how they think. You know, people like Hassan Piker, people like Jimmy Kimmel, people like Stephen Colbert, Robert De Niro, that freaking Rosie woman, whatever the hell her name is, that I keep seeing, you know, short-haired glasses woman. Like, my gosh, I cannot stand that woman. People like Lady Gaga, people like Joe Biden, people like Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. You know, there's a lot of people out there that I truly cannot stand. But do I want something like this to happen to them? No. Of course not. Nobody should ever lose their life over their opinion on something or their beliefs. And if anybody has a problem with me saying that, you're a part of the problem. It amazes me how a lot of people out there will sit there and be like, you know, we should love people no matter what happened. Love your trans friends. Love your trans family. Oh, hate has no home here. Oh, you know, you can't have an opinion on this and that because it's extremely hateful. And if you think like this and that, then you're a part of the problem. A lot of those people that are saying that are the same complete douchebags that are sitting there making fun of the fact that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. Like, that is for sure. You know, if you guys hear noise when I pick up speed, it's because something's up with this van. It still drives good, but there's something on this van that needs replaced. Yeah, it just... I can't imagine being the type of dude that sits there and is like, we should preach about love. Oh, you know, we should love everybody no matter what happens. And then turn around and make fun of somebody who gets shot and killed. Like, what the hell, dude? And a lot of people out there that are making fun of the death of Charlie Kirk are the same people who haven't said a damn word about the death of the Ukrainian woman that lost her life in Charlotte, North Carolina, all because of a repeat criminal who thought it was a great idea to just randomly stab the person that was sitting in front of him. On top of that, too, he did it when there was people around. And to everybody out there that's sitting there saying things like, oh, well, if you're devastated by the death of Charlie Kirk, but you're not saying a damn thing about the Colorado shooting, da-da-da-da-da. You know what? Like I said, that shooting was pretty screwed up. But I am sorry, you know, I know I'm going to make a lot of people mad when I say this, but you know what? It's not my job to sit there and talk about each and every freaking situation that happens in this country or anywhere else. You know, I hope and pray to God that everybody that was involved in that shooting ends up getting a speedy recovery. And to anybody that may have lost their life, you know, may God be with those who are suffering, and my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody affected by it. That's truly a screwed up situation. But just because I don't talk about something, or a lot of other people don't talk about something that happened, that doesn't mean that they don't care. Just because I don't talk about a certain situation, like a school shooting, or, you know, just some other situation that happened that caused issues, that doesn't mean that I don't care. There's a lot of things out there that I hear about, and, you know, I don't always have the chance to get to it. I mean, that's the thing. I am a busy person. Only time I ever get to myself now is if I'm driving somewhere to and from work. That's if I don't have anybody with me, for the matter. It just drives me insane that people go to the extent of, you know, oh, you're worried about this, but you're not saying a damn word about that. Oh, you're worried about that, but you're not saying a damn word about this. Like, get the hell out of here. How do you know if they even care about the situation, or they don't care? People are just so quick to jump into conclusions. It's just like a lot of people when it comes to the whole J6 nonsense. Everybody's always so quick to jump into conclusions about that situation, but won't say a word about all the riots and all the burning that happened not too long before that. All because a black man died in Minneapolis. And another black woman died in Louisville. You know, if you're sitting here saying, oh, well, if you're worried about this and that, but aren't saying a damn word about that right there, but you're the same type of person that sits there and talks nonstop about J6, but doesn't say a word about what happened after George Floyd died. All the riots, all the burning, and all that crap. I don't care to hear your opinion. I mean that in the most respectful way possible. That is for sure. You know, the other day, I made a video talking about the one transgender shooter that killed 2 kids and injured a bunch of other people. And, you know, everything I say about that mass shooter, that the same goes for every other mass shooter out there. I don't care what they do, what their race is, what their sexuality is. I don't care about any of that. You hurt and kill a bunch of kids like that, I have no sympathy for you. But the other day, I had a comment that was made on that video where somebody was like, well, how come you're speaking about this shooting, but you're not saying anything about that shooting? Because you know what? People were sticking up for that mass shooter. You had a lot of people out there who were like, well, that person was a transgender, so, that person probably went through this and that. He probably wasn't right. He probably was, or that he, she, whatever, was traumatized about this and that, all because she was treated like shit about what she does, da-da-da-da-da. I am sorry, but I understand there are transgender people out there that get treated so poorly. But you know what? Killing kids is no excuse. If you're so mad about the fact that people don't want to accept who you are or respect who you are, when you did that shit to yourself, I have no sympathy for you. People get mad when I talk about transgender shooters, but yet there's people that stick up for those shooters. Not saying a lot of people do, but there's some people out there that do. That's why I talk about those shooters. But like I said, just because I don't focus on every other mass shooting that happens, that does not mean that I don't care. I am well aware of everything that goes on. I'm sorry that, I don't speak about them like I should. Everything I say about transgender mass shooters and what I think they deserve, the same thing goes for everybody else that thinks that they need to cause a mass shooting. That's all there is to it. That's really all I gotta say for this video. Sorry this video turned out to be a super long video, but it just seems like there's so much going on in this country, and it's pretty sad, man. Again, rest in peace to that Ukrainian woman that lost her life in Charlotte, North Carolina from the stabbing. My heart also goes out to Charlie Kirk, all of his family and all of his friends, and everybody else that was affected by his death. And to everybody that was affected by the Colorado school shooting, my heart goes out to you guys as well. We gotta do better, people. The way I see it with things is I'm not even looking at this as a race thing or a gun thing or just anything like that. I'm looking at these things as a hate issue. I've said what I had to say. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for making this video or judgment or whatever. But for those who do agree with my opinion, feel free to like the video, feel free to subscribe, and do whatever. You guys all take care and have a good day now.